Have you ever heard of the Lost Roman Legion? It's a story that sounds like it's straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster. Imagine this. Thousands of Roman soldiers, defeated in a battle far from home, march east across the vast deserts and mountains of Asia, eventually settling in ancient China. It's a tantalizing tale, one that has captured the imagination of historians and enthusiasts for decades. But is it true? Could a group of battle-hardened legionaries really have founded a city on the edge of the Gobi Desert? Today we are going on an archaeological detective journey to uncover the truth behind the legend of the Lost Roman Legion in China. The story begins in 53 BC at the catastrophic Battle of Carrhae in what is now modern-day Turkey. The mighty Roman army, led by the incredibly wealthy Marcus Licinius Crassus, faced off against the Parthian Empire. It was a disaster for the Romans. Crassus was killed, and his army was decimated. According to the Roman historian Pliny the Elder, about 10,000 Roman prisoners of war were captured by the Parthians. Pliny wrote that these prisoners were relocated to the far eastern frontier of the Parthian Empire, in a region called Margiana, to serve as border guards. And then, they vanish from Roman records. For centuries, nobody in the West knew what happened to them. The trail goes cold for several decades until we pick it up on the other side of the world in the records of Han Dynasty China. In 36 BC, the Chinese fought a battle against the Xiongnu, a confederation of nomadic peoples, at the Battle of Jiji in modern-day Kazakhstan. The Chinese historian Ban Gu, in his Book of Han, describes a strange group of soldiers fighting alongside the Xiongnu. He mentions that these warriors used a fish-scale formation. This immediately pricks up the ears of historians. The fish-scale formation sounds an awful lot like the famous Roman testudo, or tortoise formation, where soldiers would interlock their shields to form a protective shell. This was a signature Roman tactic, completely unknown in that part of the world at the time. Ban Gu also noted these soldiers fortified their camp with a double wooden palisade, another distinctively Roman military engineering practice. Could these be the same men? The timeline fits. About 17 years had passed since the Battle of Carrhae. It's plausible that the captured Romans, serving as mercenaries or having escaped their Parthian captors, ended up in the service of the Xiongnu chieftain, Zhiji Chanyu. After the Han army defeated the Xiongnu, they captured about 1,500 of these strange mercenaries. According to Chinese records, the Han government was so impressed with their disciplined fighting style that they didn't execute them. Instead, they resettled these captured soldiers and had them establish a new county on China's western frontier in what is now Gansu province. And what did they name this new county? Liqian. This is where it gets really interesting. The name Liqian, or Lygian, was the ancient Chinese name for the Roman Empire, specifically for Alexandria, a major city in Roman-controlled Egypt. It seems too much of a coincidence, right? A group of soldiers using Roman-style tactics are captured and settled in a new town named after Rome itself. For many, this was the smoking gun. The theory, first proposed in the 1950s by Oxford professor Homer Dubbs, seemed to connect all the dots. The lost legionaries of Crassus had found a new home in China. For years, this theory was the stuff of academic debate. But then it moved from books to the real world. In the 1990s, the focus shifted to a small, remote village in Gansu province, near the historical location of Liqian County. The village is called Zhelaizhai. Researchers and journalists who visited the village reported something astonishing. Some of the villagers had physical traits that seemed distinctly, well, not typically Chinese. They noted people with lighter-colored hair, green or blue eyes, and more prominent noses. Suddenly, the story was on fire. Media from all over the world descended on this tiny village. DNA tests were conducted, looking for any trace of Caucasian ancestry that could link these villagers to ancient Roman soldiers. The initial DNA results were tantalizingly ambiguous. Some studies in the early 2000s suggested that a significant portion of the local population's DNA had European origins. The town of Liqian, as it's now officially known, leaned into the story hard. They erected Roman-style statues, built a replica Roman arch, and even opened a museum dedicated to the Lost Legion. Tourists flocked to see the Roman village and meet the supposed descendants of legionaries. It became a powerful and profitable local legend. It's an amazing story of cultural identity and tourism, but we have to ask, what does the science actually say? This is where the romantic narrative begins to unravel. More recent and comprehensive genetic studies have thrown cold water on the theory. A major study in 2007, which analyzed the Y chromosome of the male population, found no link to an ancient Roman influx. The genetic makeup of the villagers was found to be largely consistent with other Han Chinese and minority groups in the region. The so-called European features could be explained by the fact that Gansu province has been a crossroads for centuries. It's on the ancient Silk Road, and many different ethnic groups, including some with Indo-European origins, like the Sogdians and Tocharians, have passed through and settled there over millennia. The genetic diversity is a result of this long history of trade and migration, not necessarily a single cohort of Roman soldiers. Furthermore, historians have poked holes in the original theory. The fish scale formation might not have been the Roman testudo at all. Similar tactics of overlapping shields were used by other cultures, and the description is too vague to be conclusive. And what about the name Lycian? While it did refer to Rome, it was also used more broadly for the Hellenistic East. The mercenaries could have been from any number of places in that vast region, not necessarily Roman. The idea of a whole legion marching thousands of miles, maintaining their military structure, and founding a city is a dramatic one, but there's no direct archaeological evidence to support it. No Roman coins, no Latin inscriptions, no weapons or armor have ever been found at the site of Lycian. All we have is a few tantalizing but ultimately circumstantial lines in an ancient text. So what is the final verdict on the lost Roman legion of China? It appears to be more legend than fact. It's a compelling story woven from a few historical threads, a lot of speculation, and a desire to connect two of the world's greatest ancient civilizations. The evidence, especially from genetics and archaeology, simply doesn't support the grand narrative of Crassus's lost soldiers founding a city in China. The story of Lycian village is less about ancient Romans and more about modern identity, tourism, and the power of a good story to shape a community. But even if it isn't true, the legend itself tells us something important. It speaks to our fascination with the past and our desire to find connections across vast cultural and geographical divides. The image of a Roman legionary standing on the edge of the Gobi Desert is a powerful one, a symbol of endurance, adventure, and the unexpected twists of history. While the soldiers of Crassus likely met their fate much closer to Parthia, their ghosts have inspired a fascinating modern-day legend on the Silk Road, a legend that continues to draw people in, searching for a piece of Rome in the heart of China. What do you think? Do you believe there's still a kernel of truth to the story, or is it pure myth?